The strange question. The air on the alien world was heavy, filled with the smell of wet stone and strange plants. The human named Daniel walked carefully along the narrow path. Around him, tall red trees rose like giant pillars, their leaves glowing faintly in the dark. The ground was soft, almost alive, and each step made a low sound, like a heart beating far below the surface. Daniel was not alone. A group of alien scouts moved with him. Their bodies were tall and slim, their skin pale silver with faint lines that glowed in patterns. They did not speak much to him. They never trusted humans fully, not even after the peace treaty. To them, Daniel was an outsider, tolerated but not welcomed. Among them was one alien woman who stood out. Her name was Sira. She walked in front of Daniel, silent and strong, carrying a staff with a glowing crystal at its end. Her steps were precise and her posture was perfect, like a trained warrior. But Daniel's eyes kept returning to her back. He did not want to stare, yet he could not stop himself. Something was wrong. At first, he thought it was only the way her armor moved. The silver plates on her back seemed to shift strangely, but the more he watched, the more he noticed. The armor was not shifting. Her skin was. Every few moments, the skin beneath her clothing rippled, like something alive was pressing against it from the inside. The movement was small, but Daniel's soldier eyes caught it. Once, twice, again and again, he tried to ignore it. Maybe it was just the way her species looked when they walked. Maybe it was nothing. But a voice in his head whispered otherwise. Something hidden, something dangerous. The path grew darker as the red trees closed above them. The alien scouts lit their crystals, soft blue lights that pushed the shadows away. Daniel kept his eyes on the ground, trying not to think about what he had seen. But then the movement came again, sharper this time, like a pulse. He felt his heart race. Suddenly, Sira stopped. The whole group halted with her. She turned her head slowly, her glowing eyes narrowing. Daniel froze as her voice cut through the silence, low and sharp. "Why do you keep looking at my back, human?" The other aliens turned their heads too. Their glowing eyes stared at him, cold and suspicious. Daniel felt the weight of their silence pressing against him. He opened his mouth, but no words came. His throat was dry. He tried to think of something simple, something safe to say, but his mind was loud with the memory of the skin moving, the strange ripple he could not explain. Sira's voice grew sharper. "Answer me," Daniel swallowed. His hands curled into fists. I thought I saw something." The aliens exchanged looks. One of them laughed, a short, harsh sound. "Humans see ghosts in every shadow," he said. "Always afraid." But Sira did not laugh. She stepped closer to Daniel, her glowing eyes locked on his. "What did you see?" she asked again. Her tone was different now. Less anger, more caution. Daniel shook his head slowly. "I don't know. Maybe it was nothing. He stopped himself. He did not want to sound weak. He forced the words out. "I thought I saw something moving. Under your skin." The silence that followed was heavy. The other aliens frowned. Some smirked as if Daniel was crazy. But Sira's face changed. Her eyes widened for only a second before she quickly looked away. She turned back to the path. "Keep walking," she ordered the group. The scouts obeyed, but the mood had shifted. Some muttered in their strange tongue. Some glanced at Daniel with mistrust. He felt their eyes burning into him as they moved forward, but Daniel did not care about them. His thoughts stayed on Sira. He knew what he saw. He was sure of it. That ripple was real. As they walked, Daniel's mind raced. Was it some parasite? Was it a weapon? Or was it something worse? Something her people did not want anyone to know. The night grew colder. Strange lights blinked in the distance, not stars, but glowing insects that filled the air like sparks. Daniel kept silent, but his eyes followed Sira again. He noticed how stiff her shoulders had become, how her steps were less steady now. She knew. She knew he had seen something. The question echoed in his mind. "Why do you keep looking at my back, human?" It was not just a question. It was a warning, and Daniel realized something that made his blood run cold. If what he saw was a secret, then Sira might do anything to protect it. The forest seemed darker now, each sound sharper, each shadow heavier. Daniel walked on, but deep inside he knew this journey was no longer about peace. It was about survival, and the secret on Sira's back was only the beginning. The hidden secret. The night settled heavy over the alien forest. The red trees stood tall like silent guards, their glowing leaves painting the ground in shifting colors. A faint wind whispered through the branches, carrying strange sounds that felt almost alive. The group of alien scouts had stopped to rest. They built no fire, flames were forbidden in this land, but their glowing crystals cast pale light across the camp. The aliens sat in a circle, eating from silver containers and speaking softly in their tongue. Daniel stayed apart, leaning against a rock. He chewed a ration bar, but his mind was far from food. His eyes kept drifting toward Sira. She sat on the far side, her back straight, her face expressionless. The staff with the crystal rested at her side, glowing faintly. She did not eat. She only sat silent, her gaze lost in the shadows. But Daniel noticed her shoulders tighten every time someone glanced her way. She was calm on the outside, but inside, she was tense, afraid. Daniel knew why. He could not forget the ripple under her skin, the movement that didn't belong. He had seen many things in the war, wounds, parasites, machines grafted into flesh. But this was different. This was alive, and Sira knew he had seen it. The night grew colder. One by one, the aliens settled into rest. Some leaned against trees. Others closed their eyes in meditation. Soon, the camp fell silent except for the faint hum of the crystals. Daniel thought he could sleep too, but his instincts kept him awake. He stayed still, pretending to rest, his hand close to the small blade hidden in his belt. Then he heard it. Soft footsteps, careful, slow, moving toward him. His eyes opened. Sira stood there, her silver figure outlined by the crystal light. Her glowing eyes locked on him. She raised a finger to her lips, a silent command. Do not speak. Daniel sat up slowly. His muscles tightened, ready for anything. She looked around, making sure the others were asleep, then motioned for him to follow. Without a sound, she stepped away from the camp, deeper into the trees. Daniel hesitated. Every part of him warned this could be a trap. But his curiosity and something deeper, a need for the truth, pushed him forward. He followed. They walked through the forest until the campfire glow was gone. Only the faint light of Sira's staff lit the way. The trees whispered above and the air felt heavy, pressing down on them. Finally, she stopped in a small clearing. The ground here was damp, glowing faintly with strange moss. She turned to face him. Her eyes burned in the darkness. Tell me, human, what exactly did you see? Her voice was sharp, but there was no anger now. Only fear. Daniel met her gaze. I saw your back. Something moving, under your skin. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she closed her eyes as if the words cut her deeply. When she opened them again, her voice was softer but trembling. No one was supposed to notice. Not even my own people. Daniel frowned. Then what is it? Sira turned away, her hands clutching the staff tightly. If I tell you, you will not trust me. You will fear me. Or worse, you will tell the others. Daniel stepped closer. His voice was low but firm. You asked me what I saw. Now I'm asking you, what are you hiding? For a long moment, the forest was silent. Then, with a slow movement, Sira reached behind her armor. She loosened the straps and the plates shifted. Her back was revealed, smooth silver skin marked with faint scars. Daniel's eyes widened. The scars glowed faintly, forming patterns like veins of fire. And then it happened. The skin rippled. Something beneath it shifted, pushed like a living creature trying to break free. Daniel took a step back, his hand on his blade. His breath quickened. Sira turned her head slightly, her voice quiet and heavy. It is not a parasite. It is not a machine. It is something created, a weapon. I carry it inside me. I was chosen for this burden. Daniel stared at her, his mind racing. A weapon? Living inside her? She lowered her head. If the others discover it, they will kill me. They will say I am cursed. But worse, if this thing awakens fully, it will kill everyone, human and alien alike. The clearing felt colder now. The weight of her words pressed on Daniel's chest. He whispered, Then why tell me? Sira turned back to him, her eyes glowing fiercely. Because you are the first to see. The first to know. And now, human, the choice is yours. Will you keep my secret? Or will you end me before it is too late? Her hand hovered near the blade at her belt. For the first time, Daniel realized she was not just afraid of being exposed. She was ready to fight him, kill him if he made the wrong choice. The silence between them stretched long, thick with danger. Daniel's heart pounded. His hand still gripped his blade, but he did not draw it. Not yet. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, and Daniel knew whatever decision he made now would decide not just her fate, but his own. The clearing was silent, but Daniel's mind was loud. Her words echoed again and again. I carry a weapon inside me. He stared at Sira, unable to decide if she was dangerous or desperate. Her glowing eyes never blinked, her hand still near her blade. The air between them was sharp, like a knife waiting to fall. Finally, Daniel spoke. His voice was steady, but his chest was tight. Why me? Why tell a human? You don't trust us. Your people don't even trust us. Sira's face was cold, but her voice carried something deeper. Pain. Because humans see what others do not. My people look away. They pretend nothing is wrong. But you... She paused, her eyes narrowing. You looked at my back again and again until you found the truth. She stepped closer. Daniel almost reached for his blade, but stopped. Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. Now you carry the truth with me. And truth is heavier than any weapon. Daniel felt a chill crawl down his spine. He wanted to walk away, to forget he had ever seen her scars. But he could not. Something about her eyes, about the fear hidden inside her strength, kept him there. Tell me what this thing is, he demanded. Sira turned, her back to him again. Her skin shifted once more, a slow ripple under the scars. Daniel flinched, his hand twitching toward his weapon. Her voice was bitter. It is called the core, a living creation from the war. It grows inside me piece by piece. It waits, and when it is ready, she closed her eyes. It will not ask permission. It will awaken. Daniel's stomach tightened. Awaken? To do what? Her head lowered. To burn, to spread, to consume whatever world I stand on. The silence after her words was crushing. Daniel felt the ground tilt under him. A living bomb. A weapon wearing the face of a woman. His voice was sharp now. Then why didn't you destroy it? Why didn't your people cut it out of you? Sira turned, anger flashing in her eyes. Do you think I have not begged for death? Do you think I have not prayed for release? She pointed at her glowing scars. This was their answer. I am the cage. I am the lock. If the core dies inside me, the war begins again. If it lives, I carry the burden alone. Daniel's throat tightened. He had seen prisoners of war, soldiers with implants, even men who carried bombs strapped to their bodies. But this was worse, he whispered. So what do you want from me? Sira's expression hardened. Silence. Her voice dropped lower, dangerous and cold. If you speak of this to anyone, your people, my people, it will be my end. And perhaps yours too. The weight of her words pressed down on him. Daniel thought of the other scouts back at the camp, their suspicious eyes, their mistrust of humans. If they even guessed the truth, they would not hesitate. They would kill her on the spot. And maybe him too, for knowing. Sira stepped closer until her face was inches from his. Her voice was a whisper, but sharper than any blade. I warn you, human. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your mouth closed, or this secret will bury us both. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to argue, to push her for more answers. But then, for the first time, he saw it. Her eyes trembled. Beneath the warrior's mask, she was afraid, terrified. She turned away quickly, pulling the armor back over her scars. The glow faded and her back looked normal again. Almost normal. Without another word, she started walking back toward the camp. Daniel stood frozen in the clearing. His blade was still at his side, but his thoughts cut deeper than steel. He had two choices now. Believe her and protect her secret, or reveal her and risk the war rising again. But before he could decide, something else stirred. A sound. Low. Distant. Not human. Not alien. It rumbled through the ground like thunder. The moss under his boots trembled. Daniel froze, his soldier instincts flaring. He looked at Sira, but she did not stop walking. Her voice carried back to him, cold and certain. That sound? It is the world reminding you, human. I am not the danger tonight. The danger is what comes when the core inside me calls. The forest seemed to lean closer, listening. Daniel's blood ran cold. He followed her back toward the camp, but he knew one thing for certain. This was no longer about curiosity. This was a countdown. The revelation. The forest slept, but Daniel could not. Even when the alien scouts closed their eyes and drifted into their strange trance-like rest, even when the crystals dimmed to soft blue, he lay awake. The sound of the earth still echoed in his chest, the low rumble that came from nowhere, the vibration that seemed to answer Sira's words, and her warning replayed again and again in his mind. I am not the danger tonight. The danger is what comes when the core inside me calls. Daniel's hand rested on his weapon, but it gave him no comfort. What good was steel against something alive inside her? Hours passed. Shadows stretched. The air grew colder. Then he heard it, a faint sound. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Something else. He opened his eyes. Across the camp, Sira sat alone, her back to the group. Her body was rigid, her staff planted firmly in the ground. The faint light of the crystal revealed her profile. Her eyes were closed, but her jaw was tight, her lips trembling as if she was whispering to herself. Then Daniel saw it. Her back. The scars. They were glowing. Not faint this time. Bright. Burning lines crawling across her skin, like veins of fire spreading wider and wider. The light pulsed, steady and alive, in rhythm with a heartbeat. But not hers. Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen enough battles to know when something inside a soldier was no longer their own. He rose slowly, moving closer, silent as shadow. As he approached, he heard her voice, low, uneven, almost like she was speaking to someone who wasn't there. Stay quiet. Stay asleep. Not here, not now. Daniel froze. She was speaking to it. The core. He stepped closer, but a sudden crack of light snapped through her scars. Her entire body shuddered. She gasped, clutched her staff, and then, without warning, she turned sharply toward him. Her eyes flared bright white. For a moment, Daniel thought it wasn't Sira looking at him anymore. Her voice came, but it was layered, as if two beings spoke through the same mouth. You should not be here, human. Daniel's blood went cold. Sira? Her face twisted. The glow faded just slightly, and her own voice returned, weaker, breaking through. Stay back, please, I can still hold it. But when it stirs, it sees, it hears, it knows. Daniel's throat was dry. Knows what? Sira's eyes darted to the others, sleeping only a few steps away. Her voice cracked. Knows there is life to feed on. The ground trembled again, stronger this time. The moss beneath them lit with faint sparks. The trees groaned as if something deep below shifted. Daniel's instincts screamed at him to wake the others, to run, to fight, but his mind froze on one truth. This thing wasn't just inside her. It was connected to the world itself. She gripped her staff harder, slamming its end into the earth. The glow around her scars dimmed, her body shaking with effort. She was holding it back, forcing the core into silence. Finally, the trembling stopped. She collapsed to her knees, her breath sharp and uneven. Sweat ran down her silver skin, shining in the dim light. Daniel knelt beside her, cautious but unable to stop himself. You weren't lying. This isn't just a weapon. It's alive. She looked at him, her eyes filled with something he hadn't seen before, shame. Yes, it was made by my people in the old war. Grown, not built. Fed with blood, bound to flesh. They thought it would make us stronger. They called it a gift. But it is not a gift. It is a hunger that never ends. Daniel's stomach twisted. And they put it in you? Her voice was sharp. No, I was born with it. My mother carried it before me. She died when it awakened too early. I survived. But survival is not freedom. The words hit Daniel like a blade. Born with it. Passed down like a curse. A weapon carried in bloodlines. Why keep this secret? He asked. Why not destroy it? Why not end it before it kills more? Her gaze hardened, though her voice trembled. Because if I die, the core will not die with me. It will be free. It will search for another host. Maybe one of my people. Maybe one of yours. And then... She looked up at the glowing trees, her eyes dark with fear. Then war will return, worse than before. Endless. The silence after her words was suffocating. Daniel felt the weight of her burden pressing on him now. He saw her not just as an alien, not just as a soldier, but as a cage, living, breathing, breaking apart. And in that moment he realized the truth. She wasn't only fighting to keep her secret. She was fighting every moment to keep the galaxy safe from herself. But how long could she hold it back? The glow on her scars dimmed but did not fade completely. A reminder, a warning. Sira looked at Daniel one last time, her voice hollow. You wanted the truth, human. Now you have it. And the truth is this: one day the core will awaken, and when it does, no one, human or alien, will escape. Her words hung in the air like a death sentence. and Daniel understood that his choice was no longer about silence or betrayal. The dilemma, the camp woke slowly. Pale light from the alien sun filtered through the red trees, casting long shadows across the ground. The scouts rose in silence, their movements sharp and disciplined. Daniel sat apart, staring at the earth beneath him. His eyes were heavy from the night before, but his mind was sharper than ever. He could still see Sierra's glowing scars. He could still hear her words. One day the core will awaken, and when it does, no one will escape. The truth weighed on him like armor he could not take off. He looked at her now. Sierra stood near the edge of the camp, her staff in hand, her face calm. Too calm. No one else knew what she carried inside her. To them, she was just another scout. A warrior. But Daniel knew. And because he knew, every second felt like a countdown. His instincts screamed to report it, to tell the others, to protect humanity. If this weapon truly awakened, Earth would be at risk just like every other world. But another thought held him back. He remembered her eyes, not when she was fierce, not when she threatened him, but when she whispered, "I have begged for death." That was not the voice of an enemy. That was the voice of someone who had carried pain longer than anyone should. Daniel clenched his fists. He was a soldier. He had always known what to do in war: identify the threat, neutralize it, survive. But this was no battlefield. This was something far more complicated. The group began moving again, stepping back onto the path through the forest. Daniel followed, but his mind was not with his feet. It was with the choice that pulled him in two directions: expose her and end the risk. Protect her and carry the risk himself. As the scouts marched, he noticed whispers. Two of them glanced at him, then at Sierra, then back again. Their glowing eyes narrowed. Daniel felt the heat of their suspicion. They had noticed something. Not the core, but the way he and Sierra moved differently now. The space between them carried a tension the others could not name, but they could feel. One scout, taller than the rest, finally spoke. His voice was low, directed at Daniel. "You watch her too closely, human." Why? Daniel's chest tightened. Every answer he thought of sounded wrong. Before he could speak, Sierra cut in. Her tone was sharp, commanding. "He watches because I told him to. His eyes are useful. His kind sees details that ours ignore." The scout frowned but said nothing more. The group continued. Daniel glanced at her. She hadn't even looked at him when she spoke. She had protected him, shielded him with a lie. But why? As they walked, the forest grew darker. The air was heavier now, thick with the smell of damp earth. The ground trembled faintly again, almost too soft to notice. But Daniel noticed. Always. He moved closer to Sierra and whispered, "It's stirring, isn't it?" Her jaw tightened. She did not look at him. Yes, the core does not sleep long. It listens, it waits, and every step we take brings us closer to places where it will grow stronger. Daniel's voice was sharp. "Then we should turn back. Warn the others. Find a way to—" She cut him off, her tone fierce but quiet. "No, if they know, they will kill me. And the core will break free. You do not understand, human. My death is not the end of it. It is the beginning," her words stabbed into him. The dilemma twisted tighter. Protect her and risk the core, expose her and release the core. There was no clean choice. Suddenly, the ground shook harder. The scouts stopped, weapons raised. A low hum rippled through the trees, vibrating in Daniel's bones. One scout muttered in their language, nervous. Another raised his staff, its crystal flaring bright. Daniel felt his heartbeat race. He looked at Sierra. Her scars were glowing faintly again, hidden beneath her armor but visible to him. She turned her head just slightly, enough for him to see her lips move. "Not now. Stay quiet." Daniel's stomach dropped. The core was waking again. The scouts sensed it too, though they did not know the truth. One shouted, "Something is here." Another pointed into the trees. Weapons lit the air, crystals burning bright blue. The group formed a defensive circle, scanning the shadows. Daniel stood inside the circle, his hand on his blade, but his eyes on Sierra. He saw the faint ripple under her armor. He saw her clench her fists, her breath shaking. He realized in that moment, she was not only fighting the forest, she was fighting herself, and if she lost, even for a second, the core would reveal itself. Daniel gritted his teeth. He had seconds to choose. Would he protect her secret in front of the others, or reveal the truth and risk all of them dying here? The hum in the ground grew louder. The trees swayed. The core pulsed inside her, a heartbeat that wasn't hers. The scouts looked outward, but Daniel knew the real danger was standing right beside him. And he knew. The next move was his. The decision, the forest fell silent. The scouts stood ready, weapons raised, glowing crystals cutting through the shadows. The ground trembled under their boots, a slow, steady pulse. Daniel felt it inside his chest. Not the earth. Not the forest, her. He glanced at Sira. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from the force building inside her. Faint cracks of light spread along her scars, flashing like lightning under skin. She clenched her jaw, holding it back. The others hadn't noticed. Not yet, but they would. One scout turned sharply, eyes narrowing at Daniel. You feel it, don't you? Human senses are sharper. Tell us, what's out there? Daniel's throat tightened. His mind spun. If I say it's her, they'll kill her. If I lie and the core breaks free, we all die. Sira looked at him without turning her head. Her lips barely moved. Choose, Daniel. The humming grew louder. The forest seemed to breathe. The trees bent inward as if listening. Another scout shouted, Something moves in the shadows. They fired a blast into the trees. Blue energy lit the night, splitting trunks apart. But nothing came. The fear in the group deepened. Suspicion turned inward. The tall scout stepped closer to Daniel, pressing the glowing point of his spear against his chest. You hide something. What is it? Daniel froze. His heart hammered. The spear's light burned against his shirt. All eyes turned to him. This was it. The ground roared beneath them. A shockwave rattled the circle, knocking several scouts back. The hum turned into a thundering heartbeat. Not the planet. The core, Sira staggered, falling to one knee. Her scars blazed, flooding the clearing with white fire. Gasps echoed. Weapons turned, not toward the forest, but toward her. The secret was out. One scout roared, She carries it. She carries the core. Their weapons flared, power charging for the kill. Sira raised her head, her face twisted with pain. Her voice broke through the chaos, raw and desperate. If they strike me, Daniel, the core will awaken fully. All of us will burn. Daniel's chest seized. The circle of warriors was seconds away from unleashing everything they had. His sword was in his hand, though he didn't remember drawing it. He looked at her, then at them. One choice. No way back. Protect her and become their enemy. Expose her and risk the galaxy. The heartbeat in the earth thundered. The light from her scars split the shadows. Daniel inhaled sharply. His decision carved itself into his bones. He moved. The consequence. The clearing blazed with white fire. Sira was on her knees, her scars burning like molten rivers. The scouts had their weapons locked on her, power humming, ready to strike. The core's heartbeat thundered in the earth, shaking stones loose, bending trees. And Daniel moved. He stepped between her and the circle of soldiers, sword raised, his voice like iron. Stand down. The words cut the night. The scouts froze, shocked. A human defending an alien, impossible. Daniel, one shouted. She is the core. She will destroy us all. Daniel's eyes burned. If you fire on her, you'll do the core's work for it. You'll wake it. The soldiers hesitated. Weapons hummed louder, uncertainty breaking their stance. Suspicion warred with fear. Behind him, Sira gasped, her body trembling as the core pushed harder. Her voice cracked. I cannot hold it much longer. The ground split, light spilling from the cracks like liquid fire. A pulse of energy blasted upward, shaking the forest. The soldiers stumbled, shouting in panic. Daniel grabbed Sira's arm, pulling her to her feet. Her skin seared hot against his touch. Stay with me, he shouted. She looked at him, eyes glowing brighter than the scars. For a heartbeat, she was not a weapon, not a prisoner. She was someone begging to survive. The core screamed inside her. A sound felt more than heard. The scouts recovered. Their leader raised his weapon again. If you protect her, human, then you betray us all. Daniel's jaw clenched. He raised his sword higher. Then call me traitor. But you will not kill her tonight. The circle tensed. One wrong breath and the clearing would ignite in war. Then, silence. The core's pulse slowed. The cracks in the earth dimmed. Sira collapsed against Daniel, her glow fading, her breath ragged. The weapon inside her had retreated. For now. The scouts lowered their weapons slowly, but their eyes were full of fire. Suspicion had turned into something darker, hatred. Their leader's voice was cold. This is not finished. She is marked. And so are you. They turned and melted back into the forest, leaving Daniel and Sierra alone in the dying glow. Daniel looked down at her. Her body shook, her scars faintly smoking. She whispered, barely able to breathe, "You chose me. Why?" Daniel held her tighter, staring into the black forest where enemies waited. "Because someone has to. And because if you fall, we all fall with you." Her eyes softened for the first time, as if the weight she carried had cracked just enough to let something human slip through. But then, faint and terrible, the core whispered inside her chest. Daniel heard it this time. A voice not hers. A voice alive. A voice that said one word. Soon. The night swallowed them whole.